Well, I remember my very first Easter, and nobody had Easter at home with just your family. The entire community came together at the schoolhouse, a two-room schoolhouse, and Otis Vandenberg, Christine's husband, and Renee and Karen's dad had just moved to Oklahoma, to our area, and they had celebrated Easter in a very different and unusual way than what our community had done it. So what they did was they had everybody in the whole community, and everybody had chickens, would do a dozen or two of eggs and color them pretty. Let the kids color them. They brought them to school and colored them.
Oh.
And then that was on Friday, because on Sunday we were going to have it was the whole community had an egg hunt. And we took a piece of land that was out beside the school, and it was heavily forested. And Otis and Glenn, his younger brother, and Thomas, his brother who died in a drowning, were the three most important ones who thought that whole idea up.
Really?
And they had everybody bring eggs and have them colored, make them solid color, pretty, that you could do it with crayons because nobody had the colors like that. You did crayons. And so everybody brought a dozen or two, because everybody had lots of eggs. It was farm country, and so everybody had lots of eggs. So they'd bring 2 or 3 dozen eggs. And Otis and Thomas and Glenn were a family. That's Christine's married family. And Christine is my sister, my third oldest sister. And they initiated the idea to the whole community. We had never done that before. And everybody didn't color their eggs because they didn't know you colored eggs. They just hid eggs before at home. But it became a tradition in our community that stayed until that community was dissolved by the gas and electric company buying out everybody's land. And so the community as I knew it as a child doesn't exist like that anymore. But it was a wonderful community to live in because your whole community was your family. If somebody was sick, everybody cooked food and brought to the family so that they wouldn't have to cook. And they would help set up with them. And if they died, they would help dig the grave, and they would help carry the body to the area where the coffin would be. And you didn't get your coffin usually until the day you were going to bury, because the man who ran that company was in Durant. That was 22 miles away. Nobody wanted to ride in a wagon all day to go get a coffin and bring it back. And so he would bring the coffin the day of the burial. Otherwise, you laid it on a table, usually in your family home, covered with a sheet if you died. And all the community came and saw you. You didn't keep a body more than 2 days. And so they would have the funeral the second day of the third day. 2 days they laid in state. The third day they would bring a coffin and you would be put in it, and then you went to town, which is where, just out of town is where the cemetery is in Bennington, Oklahoma. Still is there. And every year on the 4th of July, everybody goes to Bennington, whoever lived there, and they clean the graveyard off.
That's nice.
And remark, if things have fallen down or if things have gotten looking shaggy. People who have lived there for years. The town is empty now and gone because the gas company bought everybody out who was around it. But the cemetery is still there. So, and the town itself is there, it's a building. They were brick building, red brick. And so they lasted, but nobody's in them. It was just neat to see that. Thankfully, I took some movies. Someplace in all my storage, I've got movies of Bennington, how it looks with wagons parked outside and the store buildings the way they are. And I have stills because I'd been gone long enough. While they were still, everybody coming there, I have still pictures of all of Bennington the way it was when we lived there. But it was a fun place. You didn't know who was family and who was not family because everybody was as nice to you and did for you exactly the way your own family did. If someone died in your family, everybody brought food and everybody helped dig the grave. The coffin was brought the last day, which would be this third day. You could keep a body 2 days by, I don't know, some kind of smelly stuff they put on it. But it didn't change you. It didn't allow you to change. After the second day, you had to bury the body. So the man in a big black van of some kind would bring the coffin, the body would be placed in it, and then it was taken to Bennington to the cemetery for burial. But at the schoolhouse is where your service was.
Okay.
Because everybody came to the schoolhouse.
Is that
It was
where you went to
everything.
church?
Pardon me?
Did you go to church at
That
school?
was church,
Okay.
that was school, that was weddings, that was Halloween was there. All of your anything that happened on any particular day, the whole community was your family, and the whole community is who celebrated.
That's great.
I didn't know you celebrated anything just with your immediate blood kin.
Yeah.
The whole family was, and you treated people in your community as though they were your family, because they were.
That's
They
neat.
helped you plant your crop, they helped you hoe out your crop, they helped you harvest your crop, they helped bring food. All them, they would start in a community just north of town, about 8 houses up, and the thrasher would go through the community to usually 2 or 3 different farmers would be together harvesting their crop the same, and then they'd go to the next 3 and the next 3 and the next 3, and then you were at Blue River. You couldn't go any further. No peanuts grew beyond Blue River.
Wow.